Welcome back. So yes, the dog was driving, according to the drunk man in the car. A small group of people started their journey in Las Animas, and they were intending to go to a town called Pueblo, which happens to be...
a town I lived in for quite a while.
Ooh. Famous town, as you can tell. But for some reason, they ended up driving in the wrong direction, the exact opposite direction. And they got pulled over in a very tiny place called Springfield. They didn't meet Bart Simpson. They did meet some cops. And but by the time the cop sort of got up to the window to look into the car, he saw the dog in the driver's seat. And the people inside the car looked a bit nervous and a bit, sort of sketchy. So they claimed that the dog had been driving the car. The cops looked at the situation and thought maybe not. So they breathalyzed everybody. The guys in the back were totally sober, but the guy in the passenger seat was inebriated. So they suspected that he probably had been driving and at the last minute had switched places with the dog right before the cop sort of showed up at the car window. The guy, I guess being drunk, wasn't perhaps thinking great, and so he decided to run when the police breathalyzed him to try and avoid being arrested. But of course, he didn't make it very far. The cop tackled him to the floor and he was hauled off to the station. The cover story was a bit ridiculous. Obviously, no one was going to believe him, but you got to admire his audacious attempt to make them believe the dog was driving the car. So, a very silly situation, but kind of hilarious. As it mentioned in the article, probably police hear bizarre lies all the time from people trying to, avoid arrest or avoid getting punished or blamed for the bad things they've done. So I was wondering, what kinds of lies do you think police hear from suspects in America? Maybe you've heard other stories like this of bizarre lies.
Man, there's been stories about especially with cars. People will lie all the time when it comes to cars. Like I'm borrowing it because it said that in the article. That's a huge one. I didn't notice the speed limit used to be this much, things like that. But even with with drugs, it'll be like, oh, my friend was in here the other day. Pete was in here the other day. And, or with certain arrests, I watch a show called To Catch a Predator. You've heard of it?
Yes.
Yeah. And the excuses on there are just, I was coming to make sure they were okay. To Catch a Predator is basically a show where they catch pedophiles trying to do something with a younger, underage person. But it's all a setup and it's all police. But their excuse is they were coming there to make sure they were okay. So you drove 3 hours. And you sent a picture. Just idiot excuses.
Yes.
Only in America. Look up Florida Man and you'll see a lot of excuses too.
Florida, if you want a good, hilarious crime story, Florida is the place to go.
Florida is always a great crime story place.
So the crime in question that the guy was trying to avoid was, of course, drunk driving. So do you know what the punishments are for drunk driving in America? Do you know what they are in Korea?
Oh, yeah. In America, it's death.
Oh, that's a new one. Is that Florida? Ron DeSantis, maybe?
In America, it is quite strict. If you are speeding, let's say you're going 10 over, you can pay $50, $100. If you're speeding and drunk, you go to jail. It's for 10 miles per hour, for 5 miles per hour. If you're just drunk and not speeding, you'll go to jail. It's very strict. The most strict it can be, of course, without anyone dying, is license is taken away almost permanently. Very hard to get it back, and you'll be in jail for months, if not even a few years. So yeah, it's very strict. In Korea, not so much. A little bit less strict, although they are getting more strict for some reason. And again, this is just my own opinion. People who are drunk are actually more culpable for a crime than people who are sober. It is opposite in Korea, where people who are drunk seem to have more of an excuse for why they did something wrong.
Yes, very different thinking.
Yeah.
I think in the UK, I'm not sure it involves jail time. I think it is just like revoking the license and you have to attend some kind of, I think it's not AA, but it's a kind of alcohol program. They treat you as if you are an alcohol addict, even if you're not, as kind of a punishment. But yeah, I think it's not jail time in the UK.
I mean, I guess
Maybe a big fine.
Rehabilitation is pretty good too.
Yeah, yeah. They're big into their enforced educational courses for just about all the minor crimes. Yeah. So yes, but I'm not as a non-driver. I'm not 100%. I don't really keep up with it.
You just drunk bike.
Yes. Have I ever ridden a
Drunk
bike?
walk. That's also illegal in the U.S., by the way. Most places do not allow you to operate any vehicle while drunk, including pedal bikes. And I believe that also includes like push scooters and stuff, or electric scooters.
Yeah.
So if you're drunk in the U.S., just someone else has to get you home, or you walk.
Yes, drunk walking is legal.
Yes.
So far. But before we shuffle off, I think I should mention you have to go and look at the vocabulary section. There are some pretty good pieces there to tackle. Hope you find them useful and you can fit them into your everyday conversations. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Audacious.
Audacious.
Inebriated.
Inebriated.
Dispensary.
Dispensary.
Cover story.
Cover story.
Tackle.
Tackle.